Hey y'all, I'm back. I'm here to give a part two for my rice water rant. Okay, my name is Whitney Campbell, and I am the owner of Beautiful Transformations here in Cheektowaga, New York. And I'm just yapping about stuff. So today I want to talk about the Yao women of Guangxi, China, and their use of rice water for their hair, and how we in America have that's one of the things that we have sort of cherry picked from another culture to adopt to our own culture. Okay, like I said before, there's nothing wrong with adopting or adapting someone else's practices into your own life. I think that is part of being human and part of learning and part of understanding ourselves and other people. So, whether you've used rice water before or not, this is not to say anything about what you're doing. You know, if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just here to talk about my opinion as a hairstylist. All right, so the use of rice water in the Asian culture, not just in China, I understand it's also used in Japan. So the use of rice water in Asian culture is tradition. It is a cultural thing that they've done for ages, and this is what they know. It comes with a routine. Their lifestyle is sort of centered around this. There's a lot of meaning behind their hair and how they wear it. Their hair is long. It's like the longest I'm not sure if it's the longest in the world, but it is one of the longest. Usually these women have hair that go down to their ankles, and the story is that they're using the rice water to grow their hair this length. So I looked up a little article, and I want to share some of the information from this article, and I want to talk about how this practice is not backed by trials and scientific evidence and things like that. It is a practice that these women do, and it would be like the cultural equivalent of Black women using oils and butters and creams and grease in our hair because we believe that it benefits our hair a certain way, but there's not always physical evidence that it is benefiting our hair in a certain way. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Yao women. It says, a girl's hair is never cut until she comes of age around 18. At this point, it's lopped off in one go and kept somewhere safe. As she bears children, she changes her hairstyle and threads together the hair of her childhood with her current growing locks. That is interesting to note. I would have to go do some more research on that. But that sounds like there's some sort of process that reattaches her hair from when she cut it off at 18 to the hair that she's growing out now. So that, I don't know what that means, but it could possibly mean that their hair hasn't actually grown long all the way to their ankles. They've got some help. It seems almost like attaching locks to someone's hair. That's what it seems like to me. All right, so there was a sort of a rice water phenomenon that took over the internet. We all remember this. I don't remember when it started, but you know. It's a natural product used by the Yao women, and it's said to give you floor-length hair and keep your natural hair color for longer. Until around 2002, hardly anyone knew where this Huanglu village was, and this village is where the region of Guangxi is, and it was inaccessible to tourists. And then when the Chinese government started promoting tourism in this area, then that's when, people started touring over there. Okay. The Red Yao women, nicknamed thanks to their traditional hand-woven red jackets, use a mixture of rice water and other natural ingredients to wash their hair and have done this forever. This miraculous potion is not specific to this village, like I said earlier. It also is used in Japan. All right. The women cut it only once in their life, like we mentioned earlier, at the age of 18, as it is believed that long hair brings prosperity, a long life, and good fortune. There's a belief system around the length of these women's hair. In general, unmarried women don't show their hair in public, and single women in Huanglu wear a black scarf. Married women wear their hair wrapped around their heads, while married women with children keep it in a bun at the front of their heads. This helps establish their status, but also helps protect their hair from natural elements like wind or dust, and falling in their eyes, and into the soup and the kids' games, and so on. Okay, real quick, I want to parallel this to like West African culture. And there was a book that I read a while back called A Hair Story that maps out the story of hair for Black women, Black people from before slavery time, like right before the slavery trade, all the way up to current day. And so it's interesting because before slavery, within the tribes, women wore their hair a certain way to signal things to whether it was other tribes or to other people within their own tribe. They wore their hair a certain way to signal whether or not they were married, whether or not their husband was away to war. They wore their hair a certain way to signal even like almost like a scarlet letter type of situation, like mental illness sometimes, or if they were deemed like damaged goods. Like there were so many ways that they wore their hair to signal certain things within their tribes and across tribes as well. Now, these women, they do more than spread rice water on their hair every day. They actually do have a routine that they follow, which comes down to it, this is not just a thing that they do by itself. There's an entire lifestyle around this particular practice, and they follow it every day. A lot of it is tradition. A lot of it is what they know, what they have access to. And so they always wash their hair in cold river water that is free of pollutants and chlorine. They flip their heads upside down while washing their hair. And they use a wooden comb to spread the rice water across their hair. And they keep their hair up in a protective style that plays an important role in reducing surface friction. I mean, that's a pretty basic routine. I think if you want to adopt that into your everyday life here in America, you would be using filtered water of some sort to shampoo your hair. You would possibly be massaging your scalp, making sure there's enough blood flow getting to your hair so that you are promoting hair growth. And you would use whenever you're applying product, you're just making sure that it's getting evenly distributed throughout your hair. And as far as protective styles, they're using something like pulling it up in a bun, putting a scarf on it to reduce friction. And I think for us, that would be our silk bonnets and so on and so forth. The benefits of the rice water, we don't really know. But it's said to reduce hair loss, prevent the appearance of gray hair, increase hair elasticity, and smooth out split ends. Here's the thing, though. When you're talking about, they already have straight hair, okay? Straight, smooth, shiny hair. Many of us as African-American people or people that have coily hair, this rice water is like protein, okay? And if you're using it too much, you're going to alter the state of your hair in itself. And for us, moisture is what we need. Well, we need a balance. We need a balance of protein and moisture. And if I'm going to instruct clients or the people that are asking me questions about how they should handle their hair, I just feel like there's always going to be like a delicate balance between what your hair needs. You just have to continuously keep checking in with your own hair to understand what it needs. And your body too, because your health is going to play a part in the quality of your hair. And so with taking this rice water practice from the Yao women and adopting it into your own lifestyle, I think there could be pros and cons to that. Like I said before, whether it works or doesn't work is sometimes I think these things are in almost like placebo effect. Two is if you're going from doing a certain practice for a long period of time and then you switch it up, then to something completely almost opposite end of the spectrum, different, you're probably going to see some negative effects before your hair gets used to that particular practice. And then you have to recalibrate your hair to that new practice, you know? Antioxidant. These women use rice water and it's fermented for 2 weeks to increase its antioxidant potential. The more antioxidants it has, the more efficient it is in combating hair and scalp cell damage. Now, I don't know anything about, I don't know how well an external process can help with scalp cell damage in itself. And like I said before, fermented water or rice water in itself, but let alone fermented rice water, is richer in protein, and using it too often can lead to protein overload, causing the opposite effect. Again, it goes back to a balance. This to me just sounds like a protein treatment. And so if you're doing the protein treatment, but you're not combating that with any hydration or moisture, then you are going to be on the path of hair damage. That's enough with the actual article. My final thoughts on this whole thing are you have to consider the entire when you are, especially when it comes to hair, which is my main focus here. You can't just cherry pick from another culture without understanding why that particular culture, why they're doing what they're doing, what are the surrounding factors of that particular practice. When you're adopting it to your own lifestyle, you have to factor in your own lifestyle. You got to factor in your own health. You got to factor in your own genetics, and how those may play a part in what your hair is doing in the first place. Okay? So just picking from another culture, abandon this thing. I get it. A lot of us are looking for a quick fix. So it's oh no, my hair is it's not retaining length this way. So I need to completely abandon this thing right here. And I need to try this over here. And I don't think that that's the way it works. That's like fad dieting. Okay. That's like constantly restricting, taking out things from your diet, or starving yourself and then binging, hopping around like that. Then you're not ever going to see any sort of results, you know? But trying it while keeping in mind that this is a traditional practice from a culture that is not your own. And you're saying to yourself, I'm just going to see how it works. I'm going to fit it into my regular routine. But you're not expecting the same results that's, I think, what gets us caught up too, is expecting the same results. If you're coily hair and you're looking at the Yao women who have pin straight long hair down to their ankles, and your hair is coily and grows up to the sky, no amount of rice water is going to create the same effect on your hair as it will on someone that is from that particular culture. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. This ended up being longer than I expected, but hey, it's whatever. I hope you enjoyed listening to my ramble, and I will talk to y'all another time when I have another ramble to give you.